Welcome to Module 9. As always, we're going to go ahead and get started with a short meditation. Go ahead and get comfortable and in a good position for breathing and relaxation.
Find your comfortable meditation position. Sitting down with a long, tall spine. Begin to draw your eyes down to a soft gaze or to a close. In this meditation, we're going to focus on being in tune with your physical body. So I invite you to draw awareness to the very top of your head, the crown of your head. Notice if there's any sensations that arise as we scan our way through the body, and just draw your focus there in the moment. And let that awareness begin to slowly move down into your third eye center, the space between your eyebrows. Drawing awareness into the face and letting it relax and soften as you move down. Letting the eyes soften and the jaw relax. Your tongue rests easy in the mouth. Let your neck soften and relax. Shoulders move away from your ears. And allow your awareness to move down your arms, into your wrists, into your hands and fingers. Your attention draws back into your upper chest and shoulders, moving into your heart center, your upper back, your solar plexus just below your rib cage, your low back, your belly, your low belly, your hips, all the way down to the bottom of your tailbone, down your thighs, into your knees. Attention drawing down your calves, into your ankles, the tops of your feet, your toes, and into the soles of your feet. And take just another few breaths, feeling this vibration from crown to toe, allowing the energy to flow through you, enjoying any sensations that might arise. And as you're ready, begin to gently move your toes and fingers, bringing that movement to the body, moving wrists and ankles. And perhaps beginning to blink the eyes open and taking a nice full body stretch and preparing yourself for the rest of your day.
Just to recap from our last module, body acceptance starts with body respect. And acceptance is the absence of resistance. Another way of looking at acceptance, the absence of resistance. 3 things you can do today to start your body respect journey: get rid of your scale, donate old clothes, or cover up your mirror. You can do all 3. Maybe you're not ready for any of those. Either is an okay choice. Important reminders: intuitive eating is not a diet. Intuitive eating is not rigid. There are no rules with intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is a journey and not a destination. Our intentions from the last time, the and practice. As a reminder, your intention was to practice this and practice whenever you find yourself talking negatively about your body or just yourself in general. If you're talking negatively about your body, change the statement to something more neutral, and then list 3 things about yourself that you like or that you love, and make sure that they're not physical. Anything else that you love about yourself. Let's look at the body appreciation scale. Did you have many yeses many yes answers on this scale. Remember, having only a few or even zero yes answers only means you have work to do. And that's okay, because this is a journey. You're not failing. The idea is simply to become curious. Remember, curious, not awareness or not judgmental. Be aware. What can you do to improve your body appreciation and acceptance in this moment or today or in the future? Which of those suggestions in the book have been hardest for you? Maybe you can go back to those 3 bullet points I just read. If the idea of doing those sounds really hard, it's okay. You don't have to do that right now. Maybe now is not a good time. Give yourself permission to say no if you're not ready, and be open and aware of maybe why and what needs to be done in order for you to move forward. Milestone charts. I'm just wondering how that is going. Maybe you're done. Maybe at this point in your journey, your list of fear and restricted foods is diminishing. You've learned to trust your body. Maybe you're starting to realize that once those scary restricted foods, once they brought you guilt, maybe they're no longer scary. They're no longer restricted, and you haven't even put much thought into it anymore. You're not even thinking about this anymore. It's just naturally happening. Maybe you've discovered habituation. Have you noticed that? Or maybe you haven't noticed it. Maybe it just happened naturally. So I'm wondering how that's going for you. Discovery scales. Again, at this point in your journey, maybe you're no longer using these scales because you no longer find them helpful. Maybe you're just organically discovering your hunger more and your fullness, and you've figured out what really truly satisfies you. Or maybe you are still using them, and that's okay too. What have you done for yourself lately? Our new principle for Module 9 is Movement, Feel the Difference, pages 200 to 224. Just a note, in the workbook, the name of this principle is called Exercise, Feel the Difference. But in the latest edition of Intuitive Eating, it's Movement, Feel the Difference. So I decided to move forward with that title. Key concepts for today include our current relationship with exercise, mindful movement, benefits and barriers, discover enjoyment, recommendations for exercise, and then are you exercising too much? Let's start with our voices segment of today's module. I interviewed my daughter, Paige. She was 8 at the time of this recording, and a great example of someone who thinks of exercise and movement as fun, enjoyable, not a chore or something she has to do to repent for anything that she's ever done wrong, quote unquote. So take a listen. All right, I'm back with my daughter, Paige. She joined us back in the satisfaction module. And really the purpose of this interview-ish, is to just get a fresh perspective of movement and exercise from a child's viewpoint. Maybe send you back to those days in elementary school when you just absolutely loved movement and, PE, recess, all those fun things, and you didn't think anything of it other than just it was so much fun. So Paige, if you could name the top 3 favorite parts about your school day or school week, what would they be?
Lunch, recess, and PE.
Okay, in that exact order?
No.
Okay. What would be the order, from number 1, 2, and 3?
It would go 1, recess, 2, PE, and 3, lunch.
Okay, and what would you say your favorite part about recess is?
Playing on the monkey bars and playing tag.
What about your favorite part about PE class?
I like playing all the fun games.
And what's your favorite game?
Ghostbusters.
And is that a game that would be easy to describe to our audience, or would it not be an easy to describe game?
Not be easy.
I remember when I was your age, Paige, my favorite game to play at gym was Mat Kickball. You got it. So I'm really curious about this Ghostbusters game. I'm going to have to come watch you guys play it sometime because I've heard you try to explain it. It's a little bit confusing, but I'm glad that you enjoy it. All right, our last question. What is it about movement and activity in general that you really like? So when I say, Paige, time to go outside, you always love to go outside and play. Just what do you like about movement?
I like about movement because I can move around, and I like movement like gymnastics.
Yes, you love to do gymnastics. And what is it specifically about gymnastics that you like? Because you always, even when you're sort of in a bad mood or you're stressed or you're anxious, Movement for you seems to help you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And why do you think that is? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I think it's because I like to do yoga and I like to stretch, and gymnastics is a really good way to stretch.
Oh, yeah, I like that answer a lot. All right, I guess this is the last question, Paige. What is your favorite way to move and be active? If you could just give me one answer. I know you've got multiple, but if there's a top one, what is your favorite way out of all the options to move and be active? You've got two. Go ahead.
Gymnastics and yoga.
Gymnastics and yoga. Great answers, Paige. Thank you so much for being with us again. I picked up the microphone too soon. She said, "You're welcome." Hopefully you enjoyed that short little clip. All right, what I want you to do is think about your current relationship with exercise. Are you someone who could use more exercise and movement in your life? Maybe you sit a lot during the day, or you worked out a ton in high school and now you are completely over it and never want to see a gym again. Do you think you work out maybe too much? Perhaps diet culture has threatened you and now you feel stuck on a hamster wheel of constantly working out without ever taking a break. If you feel like you're in the category of too much exercise and exercising for the wrong reasons, in other words, too much focus on weight loss or working out for compensatory reasons, such as overeating at lunch, we'll talk about that near the end. If you really think about it, I want to ask, how does exercise and movement make you feel physically? How did you feel just about opening this module today, seeing that it was about movement? So, what is your current relationship with exercise? We discussed interoceptive awareness during the modules on hunger, fullness, and satisfaction, and now it's back. Just like we ask certain questions about food, such as, how did that food make me feel the last time I ate it? Or would I eat it again? The same amount, less, more? Was it tasty? Did I enjoy it? There are some important questions to ask yourself about exercise and movement. How does your body feel before, during, and after certain workouts? Would you choose to do a particular workout or exercise again? Does your body need a break? Feel your body's signals before, during, and after the movement or activity that you engage in, and try to adjust accordingly. Also, it's important to exercise and move without judgment or competition. I realize that's easier said than done. I mean, if you're in a competition, that's a different story. Let's talk about mindful movement. Remember gym class as a kid, as Paige was just talking about? I don't know about you, but I looked forward to it each time. It was fun, playful, and a great way to expend energy. At least that's how I felt in elementary school. And then once middle school came around, I dreaded it because we had to run, we did the mile. We rarely actually played games. Plus, it became more about the competition, which I really didn't like. I think that's when I started equating movement and exercise with dread. For years, I felt like I had to do cardio and lots of it, really to be healthy and fit. Thankfully, I've learned that this is not true, and I've discovered things I love to do now and no longer force myself to do movement I dislike. What about you? Ask yourself the following questions as you think about your exercise and movement routines. Do you feel rejuvenated or depleted afterwards? Do you feel more at peace and attuned with your body or further disconnected? Do you feel the weight of stress lifted, or is it coming down stronger at the end of your exercise or movement? Do you enjoy the movement or do you dread it? You've probably heard of some benefits of exercise and movement by now, but maybe you've only really ever heard about the weight loss benefits of exercise thanks to diet culture. Did you know that simply moving more, standing more, and finding an activity or hobby that you enjoy and that brings you joy can also help with the following? It can reduce cognitive decline. It can actually reduce the odds of getting certain cancers. It can reduce insulin resistance. It can reduce your chance of stroke. It can reduce hypertension and also your chances for heart disease. Many wellness programs out there use shame-based motivation to get their employees to move. Maybe you've heard things like eating a donut for a snack. The calories in that donut can be burned by 1 hour of walking. By the way, this is an actual statement from a wellness program of a past client of mine. Does this statement motivate you to move? No. Statements like this motivate you to restrict or even over-exercise and think of movement as purely a means to burn calories and cancel out quote unquote bad food choices. Remember, the automatic response to force is resistance. So forcing your employees or yourself to move may cause natural resistance. Now let's flip the script and think about how pursuing movement and exercise can actually be pleasurable and enjoyable, a part of your self-care routine, part of your day that gives you energy and boosts you with feel-good hormones. Take a look at page 205 in your workbook and answer the questions about how this new way of looking at exercise might affect you in a more positive way. Everyone has a unique set of barriers when it comes to exercise and movement. For some, exercise and movement comes naturally and they make it a priority always. But for others, something seems to always get in the way. Pause and take a look at page 208 to 210 and see which barriers may still be in your way when considering an exercise and movement routine. As part of your self-study assignments, which I will review at the end, you'll be asked to fill out the worksheet on pages 212 to 217, focusing on overcoming any of those barriers that you wrote down on the previous worksheet. As your relationship with exercise improves, you'll no longer think of it as a chore or something you hate, but instead you'll realize it's something you need to feel good, to give you energy, just like Paige said in that little clip, to help you sleep, to keep you physically and mentally well. Here are some ways exercise and movement provides instant gratification from Rebecca Scritchfield's Body Kindness. Exercise and movement is great when you need a break. It gives you a quick pick-me-up. It's more fun than work. It's your chance to connect. And also, it's important because you can. I'm going to read this last one. When I'm dragging my feet, I remember that I have feet and legs and a glorious body that craves movement. Out of love for myself and gratitude for my health, I choose to move. Exercise recommendations. To get specific, the recommendations for exercise are to aim for 75 to 150 minutes of physical activity per week. If you're doing lower intensity exercise, the goal is 150 minutes. If it's higher intensity, such as those high intensity intervals trainings, for example, 75 is the recommendation. They also recommend including at least 2 muscle strengthening activities per week. Just a reminder, if you're starting from zero, don't jump right into anything too overwhelming. Take the recommendations and cut them in half at first or into fourths, and then build up to that 75 to 150 minutes. If you have certain restrictions when it comes to your movement, I recommend finding a coach, personal trainer, or physical therapist who can give you the best recommendations for you personally and your personal body. Find out what your body is capable of. It's time to change our view of exercise and movement from it must always be highly intense and cause us to sweat to moving my body in ways that it enjoys and that feels good to me is what's best for me. For many people who have grown up inundated with diet culture, exercise may be used mostly for compensatory purposes. In other words, I'm exercising to make up for a poor food choice I made. If you think this may be you, please take the assessment on page 223. I want to remind you to use your new interoceptive awareness skills. Ask yourself, am I enjoying this movement anymore? How do I feel before, during, and after this movement? What's the motivation behind my exercise and movement? What might I actually like better? Does my body need a break? Speaking of movement, let's take a brief moment to discuss activity trackers. With all that you now know about how restriction and diets prevent you from trusting and listening to your body, Can you guess how those rings and activity trackers are also taking you away from listening to and trusting your body? Here's a scenario. It's the end of the day and you're just coming home from work. You're slightly hungry and looking forward to dinner out with friends in just a little bit. You look at your watch, your rings, your activity tracker, and notice you haven't even come close to closing your movement ring. You think, I need to either go out for a walk now, or maybe I'll just skip that burger I was craving all day and get the salad instead. The scenarios are endless. But for this one, instead of listening to your body, you've used that external tool of your activity tracker to help you decide what to eat, rather than listening to your body and listening to your cravings and doing what your body says and doing what will actually satisfy you. That brings us to the end of this module. It was a little shorter than most. Some further learning, practicing mindfulness, body kindness, and I also want to point out YouTube videos. No need to spend money on exercise equipment or a gym. If you can, great. But you know what? YouTube has some fabulous free exercise videos for resistance training. If you have exercise equipment at your house, they've got some for those as well. Yoga, Pilates, and great stretching workouts as well. Some podcasts I recommend. The Find Your Voice podcast, episode 97. I have a complicated relationship with exercise. This episode is for those who may struggle with including mindful exercise that is dedicated by how their body feels into their intuitive eating journey. Maybe for people who are really struggling, not attaching exercise to weight loss. Self-study assignments. Pages 212 to 217, discover physical activities that you enjoy. Page 219, physical activity planning guide. Page 221, activity journal, embodied physical activity. Intentions and mantras until next time. Bring your new interoceptive awareness skills to your daily exercise and movement routines. Ask, am I enjoying this movement anymore? How do I feel before, during, and after this movement? What's the motivation behind my exercise and movement? What might I like better? Does my body need a break? I hope you've enjoyed this module, and remember to reach out to me anytime for questions or comments.